What you are looking at is one of the more obscure computers outside of Japan that I happen to own. This is an Epson PC-486GR+, which is a very interesting computer because it's part of the Epson PC series, which included the PC-286, the PC-386, the PC-486, and the PC-586. Now, this was a series of computers made by Epson from 1987 to around 1995 or so. So 8 or so years. And this computer is very unique because it has a very unique, interesting architecture to it that you wouldn't know from looking at it, because right now it looks like just any old Japanese PC. Of course, the 2 floppy drives might be a giveaway, along with the 3rd floppy bay there. And of course, we've got our front panel. There's also a giveaway on what this machine is. There's a volume knob, there's a line out port and 2 dip switches for some settings. But there's also 2 switches here. There's a CPU speed switch for low, medium, and high. And there's also a resolution switch. Now, why would there be a resolution switch with high and normal? Well, maybe you have a clue and look down here at this. High and normal. And this sticker. Here's the thing. This is a clone of the NEC PC-98 series. This Epson is a clone of that. And Epson was the only company to clone the PC-98. If you don't believe me, we've got our keyboard port on the front connected to a PC-98 keyboard. If we take a look at the back here, we've got PC-98 ports. We've got a PC-98 expansion bus, which is C bus. We've got a SCSI, I think, no, that's not even a SCSI, that's a special high-resolution video card. Because just like a PC-98, this has a high and a normal resolution with different RAM maps. We've got ourselves a 9801 14 sound card, which is very rare and only a few games use it. But games out there do exist, they're just for the really old computers. And we've got ourselves our typical array of PC-98 ports. We've got a PC-98 15-pin video port, which the other Japanese computers like the FM Townsend X68K used. A PC-98 digital video port, a printer port, a serial port. The PC-98 printer port's kind of weird though. A 1 meg floppy port for hooking up an external floppy, which PC-98s did as well. And our mouse port, which is a 9-pin bus mouse. DB9, DE9, whatever you want to call it. And I'm going to turn this thing on and show you how weird this thing is. So let's turn it on. Font's a bit different from a regular PC-98, but you'll notice something. There's no beep boop. There's none of that on these machines. You just turn it on, and it only beeps when it can't find a disk. Let me turn it on again. Nothing. But it boots. If you hold down the home key and reset, let's reset this here. Actually, no, it's help. It's like that when you haven't used a PC-98 in too long. What we've got here is our menu. And this is our PC-98 BIOS, but it's a Seiko Epson, so it's a reverse-engineered BIOS. Now, there's an interesting story behind these machines, and what that is essentially NEC sued Epson because Epson began to make a clone of it, and they made 2 clones. The PC-286 Model 0 and the Models 1 through 4. And the 1 through 4 used a rip-off of the NEC BIOS. They reverse engineered it too closely, and they had to pay NEC fees. But the PC-286 Model 0 used a clean room reverse engineered BIOS. And that was the model that could stay on the market. And so a lot of these PC-286s were sold, and Epson made more models and made more money. And this BIOS is what would become the lineage for the BIOS in these machines. But a lot of the same concepts are here. We've got our dip switches, which include the classic GDC megahertz setting. We've got some other dip switches, and I forget what these are exactly, but we've got some other dip switches here. and these are virtual ones, of course. And we're going to go here. And it's saying, I think this is something to do with like basic stuff. I'm just going to reset the machine because who cares. So as you can see, the BIOS is a bit different on these machines. This is our no disk found error. So I just mentioned about a lawsuit here. And what did this do to Epson? Well, let me show you. Here's a game that uses a NEC version of DOS. An unpatched original NEC version of DOS. We're going to put it in. It's a PC-98, so we only have to enter. It's going to start reading it. And you just heard a pop. It reset itself. And it reset itself again. Now, what NEC did was they wanted to stop Epson from building clones and at least be a royal pain in the rear to Epson owners. So what their DOS did was it had a check after the Epson clones came on the market, and it would check for a copyright string. And if the NEC copyright string was not there, it would fail. It would just boot loop. It would reset the system. So eventually Epson caught on and did two things. The first is that they made patchers for this version of DOS, which could take the check out. And the second was they programmed this error message, it seems, which tells you to use the special system install disk, or patcher, or whatever, to essentially patch the disk so it can boot, or use their own special installer. It's a very interesting thing. But let's reset the system. A lot of PC-98 games did not have this. Let's just put one in that does not have it. Let's put Klaxon. I need to label this floppy. And we can see NEC PC-9800 series personal computer. Either this image was pre-patched to get that check out, because a lot of early PC-98 emulators did not emulate this check. Or this has, a special modified version on the disk, which is who knows. But as you can see, the game works, but it's running too fast. Well, we can take care of that in a way that you can't on a normal PC-98. Check this out. If we move the switch to here, it changes the speed of the CPU, and it changes the speed of the game in real time. NEC machines could not do that. You had to set the speed when you turned on the machine. Epson machines, however, can do this. Cool feature, isn't it? So now we can have it slow enough to make it think it's on a V30 machine, or somewhere in between if we don't want it to be as slow. I don't know what the proper speed is, but the thing is, with how this stuff works, it's interesting. So we're just going to turn this thing off again, and we're going to throw in another floppy. Let's push the reset button, take this out, and let's turn this up to high. Let's put in one more PC-98 game, because I'd like to show you something really cool about the PC-98, and that is booters. So a lot of PC-98 games would boot from the disk, like the one I just showed you, or this one. However, this game needs two disks. One in the first drive, and one in the second drive. And as you can see, this uses a different version of DOS. It doesn't use MS-DOS, so it's not affected by the whole thing with Microsoft and NEC, well, NEC in particular blocking it. And it's read it from the first disk. And it crashed. Let's reset it. I think because that disk wasn't in all the way. So this game has to have both disks in the drive and two drives on your machine. Unfortunately, this mechanism is a little sticky, So when you put the discs in, it sometimes doesn't go in right. See? This is what it should be doing. It's reading disc number 2. Is the drive dodgy? I think it is. Yeah, I think we're dealing with typical PC-98 floppy dodginess. Yep. And you're getting the authentic PC-98 experience by watching this video. The experience of not everything working right. Okay, why isn't this working right? Well, looky here. Looks like we've got ourselves a glitchy screen. I think there's probably corrupt data on that disk, and I might have to re-image it. Nice. So, I'm having some fun issues with this machine, of course. The disk drive is doing some weird stuff, but here's another nice part about Epson machines. Epson machines, when they throw an error, they'll produce an error code and give you the error message instead of a loud screeching beep that takes up the whole room, like an NEC machine would do, for example. Let's just reseat this disk. I wonder if the drive is bad or if the disks are bad, because these are kind of dodgy disks too. These are some cow disks I've been having lots of issues with lately, with these NEC machines. Yeah, I think these cow disks are pieces of garbage. Let's just throw this disk out and try another one. Alright, we've changed our disks out. And it's loading. I hope. Yup. Never mind. Alright, let's try loading this game again. It's loading. I think there's definitely some read errors, because it does not sound like it should. What the fuck is this? Let's skip this. Let's see how the game works. This sounds like you did a cartridge corruption. Here's definitely some corrupted graphics. Wow. These floppy media I'm using is straight up garbage. But you can hear that this game has audio samples using the YM2203's PCM channels. Also, you'll notice the font is a bit different from a regular PC-98 font, and that's because this Epson machine does not use the same hardware font, and part of the PC-98 look is using the hardware font. So for text, it uses the PC-98 hardware font. And that's what most PC-98 games do, is they use the hardware font. There's got to be some corruption going on with the disc. Maybe RAM, but definitely disc. That or some IRQ funkiness from having that card in. Let's find out. Now, unfortunately, because I cannot find my copy of Galaga for the PC-98, you'll just have to have a nice look at the PC-9801 14 sound card, including its very fascinating TMS3631 synth chip. Well, actually, it's sort of a weird sort of sound chip that was barely used in many other places, aside from the sound card and a few weird Italian organs. Like, literally, that's what used this thing. Some Italian electric organs. I'm not even kidding. If you search TMS3631 on Google, you'll see some Italian organ forum, or, well, electronic organ forum, and somebody is talking about some old Italian organs using this TMS3631. Very interesting. Let's turn this thing on. This sound card's out. Let's see how the sound is, and if it starts playing weird instruments, and if it's not this IRQ conflicting. Because I might have to really mess around with the IRQs on this, because this has its own weird IRQ setup, which is set by some jumpers right here. Let's see how it sounds now. It's definitely an RQ issue. I think it's just an issue with the discs being jank. See, this is back there again. I don't know. It seems weird. Yeah, I think we've got a disk issue. Check this out. Interrupt trap. Halt. 7E. Yep. We've got some disk issues. But there you have it. The genuine PC-98 experience in a video. And you got to see this rare sound card too. That's all that needs to be said, people. Thanks for watching, and subscribe for more, and hopefully I can find out where I put my disc for this and get something going and show this off some other time, because I want to make a video on this card, maybe try programming it or something, because I've got some of the knowledge and documents needed to program this card, but that'll have to wait. But what else can I say about these Epson machines? There's one more thing I forgot to show you. And as proof that this thing does a better job of pretending to be a PC-98 than a furry does, pretending to be a fan of talking animals, let's switch the resolution switch to high. Turn it on. Out of range. You know why? Because it's putting out interlaced video. Let me just hit reset. See? Interlaced video. But we've got ourselves that nice high-res 98 font. Let's hit help. Check it out. High-resolution PC-98 mode, telling me it's out of range, but it's still making a best effort attempt to display it, even though because it's this weird high-res interlaced video. But see? But look at that. High-res mode on an Epson clone. This thing does a better job at being a PC-98 clone than a furry does actually watching media with talking animals and having an interest in talking animals. This does a better job at that, people. It's an look, it even has this nice cute HR lamp to let you know it's in high-res mode. See? Just like this high-res PC-98, this is also high-res. What else can I say? Fun machine. Get one if you want to set money on fire. Thanks for watching and subscribe for more.